In 2022, Western economists said it clearly. A dollar replacement is impossible. SWIFT is irreplaceable. No country has the infrastructure. No system has the trust. The dollar is too deep, too embedded, too essential. They were right. In 2022, it is now 2026. And the system those economists said couldn't exist is already processing $12 trillion in annual transactions. Without the dollar, without SWIFT, without Washington's permission. You didn't hear about it. Because it doesn't have a stock ticker. It doesn't trend on social media. It doesn't get a press conference. It just works. And that is the most dangerous thing in global finance right now. To understand what they built, you have to understand why they built it. We covered the dollar weapon, how SWIFT became a missile. But the deeper truth is this. Any country that holds dollars is lending money to America. When you hold U.S. Treasury bonds, you are funding the United States government. You are financing its military, its sanctions, its foreign policy. And at any moment, Washington can decide your dollars are no longer yours. Russia learned this in 48 hours. $300 billion frozen, gone, overnight. Every central bank on Earth watched. And every central bank on Earth asked the same question. Are we next? Not if they disagreed with America. If, you don't need to be Russia. You need to be inconvenient. That fear is what built the new system. Not ideology, not anti-Americanism. Fear. And fear is a far more powerful motivator than ambition. So what did they build? 3 things, and each one is already operational. The first thing they built was a replacement for SWIFT. China built it. They call it CIPS, Cross-Border Interbank Payment System. SWIFT connects over 11,000 financial institutions across 200 countries. It has 50 years of trust, 50 years of infrastructure. CIPS launched in 2015, quietly, deliberately, without a press release. For years it was dismissed. Too small, too limited, too dependent on China. In 2021, CIPS processed 80 trillion yuan in transactions. In 2024, that number exceeded 175 trillion yuan. That is over 24 trillion US dollars, processed without SWIFT, without the dollar clearing system, without Washington's visibility. CIPS now connects over 1,400 financial institutions across 110 countries. It is not as large as SWIFT. It doesn't need to be. It just needs to be large enough to give nations a choice. And it already is. The second thing they built is stranger and more powerful. It's called mBridge. You have almost certainly never heard of it. mBridge is a multi-currency central bank digital currency platform. Designed and tested by the Bank for International Settlements, the bank of all central banks, alongside the central banks of China, Hong Kong, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Thailand. The concept is simple. Instead of converting your currency to dollars to send money internationally, you send digital currency directly, bank to bank, central bank to central bank. Instantaneous. No correspondent banking. No dollar clearing. No SWIFT. mBridge completed its pilot phase in 2024. Real transactions, real banks, real money. The Bank for International Settlements called the results successful. In 2025, Saudi Arabia joined the platform. Saudi Arabia, the country whose entire economic model was built on petrodollars, the country that signed the Petrodollar agreement with the United States in 1974. Now testing a system that moves oil money without the dollar. When Saudi Arabia tests the exit, the petrodollar is not a system. It is a memory. The third thing they built is the oldest financial technology in history, gold. Central banks bought gold at record levels in 2022, record levels in 2023, record levels in 2024, record levels in 2025. 4 consecutive years, over 1,000 tons per year, every year. China's central bank increasing gold reserves for 18 consecutive months. Russia converted 23% of its reserves to gold before the sanctions hit. Those reserves could not be frozen. India, largest gold buying year on record in 2024. Poland, Turkey, Kazakhstan, all buying. all accumulating, all quietly building a reserve that no executive order can touch. This is not nostalgia. This is engineering. Gold is the only reserve asset that has no issuer. No country controls it. No government can freeze it. No sanction can seize it. When your dollar reserves can be taken, you find something that cannot be taken. The world just chose gold. CIPS, mBridge, gold? 3 pillars, already standing, already operational. But the most significant move happened in Africa. In April 2026, China announced zero tariffs for exports from over 50 African nations. The headlines called it trade policy. They missed the point entirely. China is not offering Africa a trade deal. China is offering Africa an alternative economic universe. Zero tariffs. Belt and road infrastructure. CIPS payment rails. Yuan-denominated loans. Chinese-built ports. Chinese telecommunications. Chinese digital payment systems. One continent. 1.5 billion people. The fastest-growing consumer market on Earth. Being integrated quietly, deliberately, into a closed-loop economic system that does not require the dollar, does not require SWIFT, does not require Western financial institutions. By 2030, China could have an entire continent operating on its financial infrastructure. That is not a currency. That is not a payment system. That is a parallel civilization of commerce. And the dollar cannot reach it. Here is what everyone gets wrong. The dollar does not need to be destroyed. It does not need to collapse. It does not need to lose its status. It does not need to be replaced. It just needs to become optional. Think about what that means. Right now, if you want to buy oil, you need dollars. If you want to clear international payments, you need SWIFT. If you want access to global trade, you need the American financial system. There is no alternative, which means there is no leverage. The moment there is an alternative, everything changes. Not because nations abandon the dollar immediately, but because Washington can no longer weaponize a system that nations can simply walk away from. Sanctions lose their teeth. Financial pressure loses its force. The dollar weapon becomes a bluff. Because a weapon only works when there is no exit, they just built the exit. Now, the balance sheet. The dollar still holds 58% of global currency reserves. CIPS processes a fraction of what SWIFT handles daily. mBridge is still in early deployment. Gold is a reserve, not a payment system. The dollar is not dead. Anyone who tells you it is selling something. But the trend line is unmistakable. In 2001, the dollar was 73% of global reserves. Today, 58%. That is 15 percentage points over 25 years. Slow, deliberate, structural. Glaciers move slowly until they don't. The question is not whether the dollar loses dominance. The data already answers that. The question is what comes next and who controls it. That is the war being fought right now. In server rooms, in central bank vaults, in trade agreements you'll never read. 9 episodes. The Petrodollar gave America the world. The Strait of Hormuz made oil a weapon. The Yuan Ultimatum built the alternative. China turned off the rare earth switch. The Lithium Coup rewrote the energy map. The dollar weapon began backfiring. The UAE fractured OPEC from within. India positioned itself to win every war. And now, the pipes are laid. The infrastructure is built. The system is running, not in theory, not in planning documents, not in BRIC summits with no follow-through, in transactions. Real transactions, happening right now. While you watch this video, the world did not ask for permission. It did not wait for America to agree. It did not hold a press conference. It just built. The dollar is not dead, but for the first time in 80 years it has competition. And competition changes everything. Now you know. 9 episodes, 1 series. The complete picture of how global power actually works. If you've watched every episode, you now see what most people never will. Subscribe. Share this series. Because the people who understand this world are the ones who shape it.